You are staring at a fossil, older than the rock it died in. JWST found galaxies born 700 million years after the universe itself began, but the stars inside them are already 600 million years old. How can a child be almost the same age as its parent? This isn't a rounding error. This is the timeline breaking, the universal clock stuttering. Either our entire cosmological model is wrong, or time itself didn't flow the way you thought it did. You've been taught certainty. You've been given equations. You've been promised understanding. But what if the very fabric of cosmic history is a lie? Stay with me. By the end of this transmission, you will watch 30 years of standard cosmology crack. A crack in creation. You've been told the universe has rules, that beneath the chaos of stars and gravity and light, there exists a foundation, a set of equations, a model so elegant, so universally accepted, that for 30 years it has defined everything you think you know about existence. They called it Lambda-CDM. It described the shape of space-time itself. It predicted how galaxies form, how matter clusters, how the universe expanded from a singular point into this cold, sprawling void. For 3 decades, cosmologists have treated it not as a theory, but as scripture, the bedrock beneath every observation, the architect's blueprint for reality. And like any architect admiring their work, they believed the foundation was perfect. On July 12, 2022, the James Webb Space Telescope released its first images to the world, a machine designed to stare deeper into the past than anything humanity had ever built. Its mirrors, coated in gold and suspended 1 million miles from Earth, were engineered to catch the faintest whispers of light from the cosmic dawn, the moment when the first stars ignited in the primordial dark. The mission was simple, almost ceremonial. Find the universe's infancy, photograph the earliest galaxies, confirm what Lambda-CDM had already promised, that the first galaxies would be small, dim, chaotic, fragile structures slowly assembling over billions of years, like scattered bricks waiting to be stacked. Scientists were not searching for surprises, they were searching for validation. They wanted to see the universe as a newborn, underdeveloped, unformed, exactly as the model predicted. They wanted to close the book on cosmology's origin story and say, with absolute certainty, we were right. But you don't confirm a foundation by looking at it more closely. You crack it. You open the first page expecting chaos, expecting the universe's infancy to be dim, disordered, a cosmic nursery of half-formed things stumbling toward complexity. But the data doesn't show you a nursery, it shows you a city, already built, already thriving, impossibly intricate, when the universe itself was still a child. The first images revealed over 100 bright, massive galaxies that weren't supposed to exist. Not yet, not then. NASA-affiliated researcher Peter Van Dokkum stated plainly, their models predicted none of this was possible. You didn't misread a few lines. You didn't skip ahead by accident. The book you're holding, the one describing cosmic history, is missing its first chapter entirely, and chapter 2 opens with a fully formed civilization, offering no explanation for its arrival. One galaxy, dubbed the Big Wheel, stopped astronomers cold. A perfect spiral, intricate arms, organized rotation, existing less than 2 billion years after the beginning. Spirals like that require eons of gravitational choreography, slow, patient accumulation of matter into elegant, stable structures. But there it was, finished. And it wasn't alone. A University of Missouri study confirmed up to 300 observed galaxies fundamentally defy current explanation. 300, not outliers, not measurement errors, a systemic failure of the model you trusted to describe reality. Then came the names that should not exist. By 2026, the JWST had photographed MOMZ-14, a galaxy whose light began its journey to your instruments just 280 million years after the universe itself began. A galaxy already containing nitrogen, already containing carbon, heavy elements that require entire generations of stars, ignited, lived, died, scattered to forge into existence. Yet there it sat, burning at the edge of cosmic dawn, already holding the chemical signature of a universe that hadn't existed long enough to produce it. The arithmetic refuses to cooperate. Then Jade's 1050323, redshift 6.9, a galaxy whose stellar population, by every method of measurement available, is incompatible with the universe being young enough to contain it. Not by a small margin, not by a comfortable error bar that scientists could quietly absorb, by 4.7 sigma. The probability of statistical chance, 1 in a million. The kind of number that ends careers when ignored. The kind of number that, in any other discipline, would force the textbooks to be rewritten before sunrise. So you ask the question you've been avoiding. If not by slow gravitational accretion, if not by the process you were taught, then what built them? What hyper-efficient, unknown force was constructing entire, massive galaxies in a fraction of the expected time? What mechanism, invisible to you, operating under rules you don't comprehend, assembled complexity at a speed that mocks everything you thought you understood about how structure emerges from void? You're holding a book written in a language you can't read. Every page turned reveals syntax you don't recognize, grammar that bends wrong, and the horrifying realization creeping in: the universe was never written for you to understand. You want a way out. You need a way out. And for a fleeting moment, one beautiful, fragile moment, the universe seemed to offer you one. What if these objects weren't galaxies at all? What if they were something else entirely? Something new, something nothing in your data had prepared you for. The hypothesis emerged like a life raft in open water. Little red dots. A theorized class of primordial objects, speculated to be black hole stars, luminous beyond measure, deceptively bright, deceptively massive. If true, they would explain everything: the brightness, the mass, the impossible structure. They would be patches, clean, elegant patches, over the cracks in Lambda-CDM. You could breathe again. The foundation was safe. The model was safe. You were safe. But here's what you need to understand about comfort in cosmology. It doesn't last. Because in early 2026, peer-reviewed analysis published in monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society examined an object designated Jade's 1050323. And what they found wasn't just bright. It wasn't just massive. It was old. Statistically, impossibly, measurably old. The spectral analysis revealed a 4.7 sigma age anomaly, a deviation so severe it cannot be dismissed as error. The stellar population within this galaxy is older than it has any right to be. This isn't about light tricks. This isn't about misinterpreting brightness. This is about time itself, and time does not lie. You tried to patch the wall, but the wall doesn't care. Then came the final data: 31 high redshift galaxies, analyzed, measured, confirmed. The average age of their stellar populations, 600 million years. The age of the universe when their light was emitted, 700 million years. Do you see it now? Do you see what this means? These stars had to have formed, had to have ignited, evolved, aged within the first 100 million years of existence. But Lambda-CDM predicts that structure formation at this scale is physically impossible within that window. You can't invent a new type of object to explain this. You can't reinterpret the data. The timeline itself, the backbone of everything you thought you knew, is shattered. You applied patch after patch to a crumbling wall, and now you see it. The foundation beneath your feet was never there at all. So what happens when the model doesn't just crack, but collapses? You stand in the archive, holding what you believed was the first page of history. But the ink is wrong. The parchment is wrong. The language itself, impossible. You haven't mistranslated the text, you've misunderstood time. In January 2026, the James Webb Space Telescope spectroscopically confirmed the existence of MOM Z14, a galaxy not just distant, but ancient beyond reckoning. Redshift 14.44. That phrase is clinical, sterile, but what it means is this. You are looking at a structure that existed just 280 million years after the universe began. That's not a footnote in cosmic history, that's the prologue. And the prologue is written in a script you do not recognize. The Lambda-CDM model, the standard cosmological framework you were taught to trust, predicted a slow assembly, hydrogen clouds collapsing, stars igniting in small clusters, galaxies forming gradually, carefully, over hundreds of millions of years, a patient unfolding. But MOM Z14 is not patient. It is already structured, already mature in ways no theory permits, already burning with light from countless stars before the universe had learned to cool. This is not an anomaly, it is evidence. Evidence that the first 500 million years of existence were not a simpler, quieter version of the cosmos you inhabit now. They were alien, profoundly, irreducibly alien. The physics that governed that epoch, the rules under which matter condensed, stars ignited, galaxies assembled, were not the physics you study. They were something else, something terrifyingly efficient. You believed you understood the timeline. You believed the early universe was a blank canvas, slowly painted. But what if it was a detonation? What if the first 500 million years were not construction, but eruption? MOM Z14 sits there in the data, silent and monstrous, a cathedral built before the concept of stone. And you realize, the universe did not evolve. It exploded into complexity. And the laws that permitted that explosion, you do not have them. You do not even have the alphabet to read them. You are not uncovering history, you are uncovering something older than history. Something that operated under conditions so extreme, so foreign, that your equations collapse when you try to model them. The Lambda-CDM framework is not incomplete, it is broken. And the most unnerving part? This alien epoch, this 500 million year window of impossible physics, created everything. Every atom in your body was forged in a universe you would not recognize. Every structure you see, every star, every galaxy, is the descendant of processes you cannot replicate, cannot simulate, cannot comprehend. You are not the inheritor of a predictable cosmos. You are the aftershock of an alien event. The archive is vast, the texts are infinite, but the language of the first chapter is not yours. It never was. And standing here holding MOM Z14 in your trembling hands, you realize you are not discovering the past. You are confronting something that was never meant to be understood. You stand on a shore that stretches beyond all comprehension, not sand beneath your feet, but the edge of human knowledge itself. And the bottles, they never stop arriving. Glass spheres filled with light, each one carrying a message written 13 billion years ago, washing up at your feet in an endless, indifferent procession. You pick one up. The light inside is real. You can measure its frequency, count its photons, catalog the signature of hydrogen stretched thin across cosmic time. But the language is alien. Not alien in the sense of extraterrestrial, alien in the sense that the grammar of reality itself may be written in symbols your species was never equipped to parse. These galaxies, impossible, fully formed, structured in ways that should not exist within 600 million years of creation, they are not errors, they are the message. And you have been reading it wrong. The light has traveled for over 13 billion years to reach your instruments. A transmission from a ghost whose origins you no longer understand. You thought you knew the plot. You built equations to describe the universe's first second, a fraction of time so brief it makes a human heartbeat feel like a geological epoch. And from that singular moment, you extrapolated everything. The cooling, the expansion, the slow assembly of matter into stars. A story with a clear beginning. But what if the beginning you calculated never happened the way you described it? The universe does not pause for your confusion. Right now, at this very moment, light from another impossible galaxy is crossing the threshold of your atmosphere. Photons that began their journey when the cosmos was supposedly still dark, still simple, still obeying the rules you wrote. You will collect this light, you will add it to your archives, and it will contradict you again. The data does not care whether you can interpret it. The message does not soften itself for your comprehension. You are the only species, at least the only one you know of, trying to read a story that may be fundamentally unknowable, written in a syntax that predates logic itself. You stand alone on that shore, and behind you, there is no one else. No other consciousness in the observable universe has revealed itself to share this task, to help you decode the bottles, to confirm that the symbols mean what you think they mean. You are isolated, not just by distance, but by the suffocating possibility that you are parsing a narrative whose structure your neural architecture was never designed to recognize. Each new telescope you build washes more bottles onto your shore. Each bottle contains light from a universe that refuses to match your autobiography of its youth. And so you are left with a question that does not resolve, a question that follows you into sleep, into your models, into every new image beamed down from orbit. If your entire story of the universe's first second is built upon a fundamental misunderstanding of its first billion years, are you capable of ever grasping the true nature of reality? Or are you simply a solitary figure on an infinite beach, endlessly opening bottles filled with light that you will never, ever learn to read?